my finger problems where I forgot to press the sound, share the sound at the beginning of that. I've got to say, George is also going to join us in Trading Buddies tomorrow, if you can be there. And if you want to ask him some questions around his method of trading, that would be an ideal opportunity so to do. I also said when I was talking to Julian that the Fed had the Fed didn't have 9 in a row in their the meeting minutes. No, they didn't. But there was an article from JP Morgan that suggested that they were going to raise interest rates 9 times in a row. And I said that that was 72 weeks away. Of course, the Fed meet every 6 weeks, not every 8 weeks. So therefore, I'll retract that statement and let's say 54 weeks. Still a bloody long time, right? Let's put it that way. Okay, now pursuant to what we've discussed all throughout the show, in Julian's section of the show, which was all about if you're not in front of the news, or if you're not listening to the news, if you're not paying attention, in my mind, that's what I take out of Julian's synopsis of how we should be looking to trade this situation. Then it's probably best to stay out of the market. Now, I had my own opinions on where the market would go if Russia did invade, and I positioned myself for that to happen. Now, some of those trades that I placed in anticipation of that have now closed. I was wise enough to put my stops in a winning position when it did move. So that's not an issue. What is now an issue is reading, and if you listen to Julian, what he had to say, is now reading what happens next. And that is very much a case in point of listening to what is about to happen next and reading what statements are made, not by the newspapers, but by those who count, like Biden or Putin, for instance. They're the kind of guys that you want to be taking notice of. So if they've got speeches scheduled, then that's probably where we need to be focused. Now, the truth of the matter is, for me, I'm not in that position unless it's out of my normal business hours, if you like, because I run a business of my own. So I'm very, very hesitant to be in the market because I can't be in front of those news events. That said, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, what I consider to be game changer bars this week. The interesting part about that is I don't agree with a single one of them. From, I guess, and this is very, very difficult for me to say because I'm not a fundamental trader, but from a fundamental point of view, I find it very, very, very difficult to go with what the market, what the candles are telling me at the moment. And I'll point to, look, just pick any one of those. And here I've got, actually, it's a monthly chart, so it's a bit weird. I do this on a weekly basis, right? Every Sunday, I look at what the candles of the previous week are telling me. And this candle's telling me that this market's going long. Now, I disagree with that because of the potential for this to escalate, the scenario to escalate. So if I'm going long CAD yen, it means I'm going against, if you like, conventional wisdom, which would dictate that a flight to safety, if you like, would be a negative result for CAD yen, the Canadian dollar being a risk-off currency to some, and the yen being a risk-on currency to some. Sorry, reverse that. The yen being a risk-off currency, the CAD being a risk-on currency. There's a big twist involved in that because the CAD's also based on, not based, but intertwined with things like oil and things like commodities, which have got their own story in these times of conflict. So, this one's a very, very tricky one to trade, in my humble opinion. Therefore, I'd want to be steering clear of that. But get away from the risk on, risk off scenario and go with a currency pair like euro pound. And this is very, very clear that this wants to go long in terms of the weekly game changer bar. Game changer bar being one whose one whose low is lower than the previous and closes on near its high. So I'd be expecting that to go along, and it may well do that for a period of time. But then I've got a resistance level to consider and all of those things. But then I consider what's happening in Europe. The pound had a shocking week last week, and the euro didn't have such a bad one at the end of the day, as you can see by that chart. But when I think about that, maybe I shouldn't think about that. Maybe I should just trade the charts. And I think Julian was talking about that earlier. Trade what you would normally trade. But here's my take on that. My take on that is trade it at smaller risk than you would normally do. That would most definitely be my counsel on that. And listen to the news, listen to what's going on. So rather than me going through all of these charts that are 9 in number and saying, I'm not going to trade that because, I'm not going to trade that because, I'm not going to trade that because, I'm going to, if I'm in front of the news and can see what's happening, I will make my decisions based on that. If I'm not, then I will stay out of the market. So there's not a lot of point in me saying to you, okay, here's what I'm thinking for the week ahead, because I'm actually not thinking that for the week ahead. I'm going to wait and see exactly what pans out. Sorry, David, that you've missed the answer. I'm pretty sure we'll catch you tomorrow in Trading Buddies. So if that's the case, then I'll give you that answer at that point. No problem. So with that, guys, I think it was pretty much not about what I think today. It was pretty much about what Julian has delivered to us. And we're very, very grateful to have him in our family at ATW. That's for sure, because he's got the experience. He knows what these things bring to us and how we should approach them. I would advise you to do a very, very long think about what he said today and approach that in the coming week, maybe months ahead. So we'll sign off there and say thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you next Sunday when we'll do it all again. Have a wonderful week ahead. Stay safe. Bye-bye.